In a small, beautiful town where everyone knows each other and life moves gently, there stood an old, brick-walled house. It wasn't grand, nor was it new. Its paint had faded over the years, and its windows leaned slightly, as though tired from holding on for so long. Yet, to everyone who knew it, the place felt warm in the way a hug feels after a long, lonely day. It was the town's old age home, a place where several elderly men and women lived together, sharing stories, memories, and gentle laughter. The old age home had once been taken care of by a group of trustees, people who believed in kindness, responsibility, and charity. Every year, they gathered in a meeting and wrote checks to keep the place running smoothly. Because of them, the rooms stayed clean, the medicine shelves stayed full, and the kitchen always smelled of soup, bread, and love. But time has its own way of changing everything. Over the years, a few trustees passed away, and others simply lost interest. Meetings became rare, checks stopped coming, and the old age home slowly began to struggle. At first, it was just little things: an unpainted wall, a delayed medicine order, a broken railing that no one came to fix. But then, the problems grew bigger. Expenses mounted. Resources thinned. With each passing month, the weight of responsibility grew heavier. Yet in that old house lived one family whose hearts were bigger than any burden. A young man, his gentle wife, and their bright-eyed 12-year-old son lived in a small room at the back of the building. They weren't rich, nor did they have any grand title. Their job was simple but noble: to look after the elderly residents, help them walk, give them their meals, arrange doctor visits, keep the place clean, and make sure no one ever felt lonely. They did all of this with a love that couldn't be measured. The wife woke up before the sun, preparing breakfast with care, even when there wasn't enough to go around. The young man spent his days cleaning racks and arranging books on shelves, bringing groceries, and comforting whoever needed him most. And the son, well, he brought joy wherever he went. He spent hours listening to the stories of the elderly, laughing at their jokes, and calling each of them grandpa or grandma. To him, the old age home was not a workplace. It was a family. But love alone cannot buy groceries or medicines. And soon, the problems grew worse. Ration shelves emptied. The medicine cabinet became almost bare. The roof leaked when it rained, and the doctor visits grew fewer because there wasn't enough money to call them regularly. The elderly began to feel the weight of these troubles. Their health suffered. Their smiles faded. Their peaceful home now carried an air of worry, and the young couple felt helpless watching it all crumble. What hurt the most was that many of the elderly residents had children of their own, children who had once promised to visit, to call, to care. But once they left their parents in the home, they never returned. Not a letter, not a phone call, not even a memory. Christmas was approaching, but that year, it didn't feel like Christmas at all. Outside, the town sparkled with lights, wreaths, cakes, and preparations for celebration. But inside the old age home, the atmosphere was heavy. The young couple tried to stay strong for everyone. Every night, they whispered to each other that things would get better somehow, even though they didn't know how. Their little boy watched it all. He saw the fading smile. He heard the quiet sighs of the elderly. He noticed how tired his parents looked. And yet, he still believed in goodness, believed in miracles, believed in hope. And one evening, as he lay in bed staring at the dim light hanging from the ceiling, an idea bloomed in his heart, simple, pure, and full of childhood faith. He would write a letter. Not just any letter. A letter to Santa Claus. Maybe, he thought, someone as magical as Santa could hear what adults could not. Maybe his words, written with trembling hope, would find their way to the North Pole. He pictured Santa, all dressed in his usual bright red attire and his jolly self-radiating kindness, sitting by a crackling fire, reading his letter with kind eyes. He imagined Santa pausing, stroking his snowy beard as he thought about what to do. And for the first time in many nights, the boy felt a tiny spark of comfort, as if the universe had just opened a small door for a miracle to slip through. He hugged his blanket a little tighter, letting the warmth settle in his chest. Slowly, his eyes grew heavy, and he drifted into sleep carrying that small, glowing hope with him. The next morning, he took out a piece of paper and wrote with all his heart. He didn't ask for toys, or clothes, or anything for himself. He asked for help for the old age home, for his parents' carefree smile to return again, and most of all, happiness for the elderly residents of the old age home he loved like his own grandparents. He wished for the old days to return, the days when he would sit beside them, sipping warm coffee from tiny cups, laughing over board games, and listening to stories that made the evenings feel magical. He missed their smiles, their gentle teasing, and the quiet comfort of simply being together. He asked Santa to somehow bring back happiness, health, and peace to the home he cherished more than anything. When he finished, he folded the letter neatly and headed toward the big, red letterbox in the center of town. Snow crunched under his shoes as he walked, and he breathed little clouds of icy air. He reached up, pushed the letter into the opening, and turned to leave. But the letter didn't fall inside. It slipped. It fluttered. And it fell softly onto the footpath below. The boy didn't notice, but someone else did. Just moments later, the mayor of the town, passing by on his morning walk, spotted the letter on the ground. The envelope, decorated with little stars and snowflakes drawn in pencil, caught his attention. Curious, he picked it up, opened it gently, and began to read. The more he read, the slower he walked, and by the time he reached his office, his heart felt heavier than snow on a winter branch. He had known about the old age home. Of course, everyone in town did. But he had no idea things had grown so bad, and certainly not that a child who asked for nothing for himself, had to write to Santa to save it. That very afternoon, the mayor hurried to the old age home. He spoke to the young couple, inspected the sleeping hall, checked the medicine shelves, and listened to the elderly. What he discovered shook him deeply, and without wasting even a day, he began taking action. He called meetings. He arranged supplies. He contacted doctors. He planned repairs. He spoke to the townspeople. Within days, a wave of help began to sweep through the community. People donated ration, medicines, blankets, and money. Doctors scheduled regular visits again. Slowly, the home began to breathe, heal, and brighten. Then came Christmas Eve. The town hall was lit brighter than ever before, decorated with garlands, candles, and shimmering lights. The mayor had arranged something special, something grand. He invited everyone in town, but the most honored guests were the residents of the old age home. Buses came to pick them up, and when they entered the hall, applause filled the room. Musicians played soft carol. The air smelled of warm pudding and spiced cookies. During the feast, as everyone gathered near the glowing Christmas tree, the mayor made an announcement that silenced the hall with emotion. He declared that from that day forward, he himself would take responsibility for the education of the young boy, whose letter had opened his eyes. He promised to support the old age home financially so that its residents would never again suffer from neglect or shortage. And then, turning to the townspeople, he asked them to join in, not once a year, not only during festivals, but as a regular part of their lives. The people agreed. They cheered, and the old age home's future was secured that night. Later, long after the feast ended, when the stars shone cold and bright, something magical happened. Santa Claus visited the town. Maybe it was just a dream, but those who believe in miracles will tell you that Santa walked quietly to the bed where the little boy was sleeping and placed the most special gift on his bedside table. It wasn't wrapped in shiny paper. It didn't have ribbons or bells. It was simply a small, glowing ornament shaped like a heart, an ornament that shimmered with warmth. And from that day onward, the boy, his parents, and the elderly residents lived in a new kind of peace, a peace born from compassion, community, and a child's belief in miracles. And every Christmas, when the town hall lights up and carols fill the air. The story of the little boy's letter is told again and again. Kindness never goes unnoticed, and even the smallest act of love can change the world.